Oh, it's like fire. Yeah, I can feel my heart beating in my head.
Esta é a que mais causa acidente no Brasil.
Around 90% of the snake bites are caused by this guy here. Do not try this at home.
E atenção.
This is one close-up I will not be getting.
This pit viper, known as the jararaca in Brazil, is one of the deadliest snakes in the world. But ironically, its lethal venom has probably saved many more lives than it has taken. In the 1970s, a chemical compound found in the venom of the jararaca was used by an American pharmaceutical company to develop this, captopril. Captopril was the world's first ACE inhibitor used to treat high blood pressure and heart failure. It was also a huge moneymaker, and in 1991 alone, at the drug's commercial peak, it grossed $1.6 billion. Brazil, however, where the snake, the jararaca, is found, never saw a dime. But with the greatest diversity of life on Earth in its own backyard, the Amazon, the country sits on a vast reservoir for potential new medicines. The question is, will Brazil, and the rest of us for that matter, be able to realize this potential before it's too late? Somewhere in this jungle could be the cure for cancer or HIV. Somewhere in here could be treatments for heart disease, diabetes, depression. More than a quarter of all the drugs found at your local pharmacy are derived from the natural world. But the plants and animals that contain the chemical compounds that could potentially form new medicines are being lost at an alarming rate. Recently, I traveled to the Brazilian Amazon to look for a frog, a poisonous frog, known locally as the cambo. Researchers believe the cambo holds great promise for modern medicine. In fact, it's so potentially valuable that pharmaceutical companies seek patents on it. Biopirates try to smuggle it. And Brazil is resting the fate of the entire jungle on its slimy shoulders. Well, not exactly, but partly. You'll see. So these two crazy guys, Paulo and Reginaldo, go out to the jungle and they look for things that we're supposed to stay away from, like poisonous snakes and frogs. And for some reason we're following them, we're going with them to the jungle.
Todos voltam, vivos ou mortos.
He said, we'll all come back, dead or alive. Oh my. This is sort of the edge of civilization here. We're close to the border with Peru. And right now we're crossing the Rio Jaru, the Jaru River, and we're heading into the jungle. But even in this rather remote corner of the Amazon, we first had to pass through miles of ranch land before we could find virgin forest.
We are being invaded by cows. Holy cow.
That was actually a great metaphor for what is happening in the Amazon.
Por todo esse lugar que nós estamos passando era para ser floresta. Então a floresta foi derrubada para dar origem às pastagens. É problema, gado é problema.
Over the past 2 years, the rate of deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon has actually slowed. But still, every year, an enormous chunk of rainforest is cut down. In 2006 alone, more than 8,000 square miles, an area nearly the size of New Hampshire, was cleared. And with this go species of plants and animals whose benefits for mankind we may never know. Scientists like Paulo and Reginaldo are in a race against time just to identify what's out there. That's the boats we're taking. We're heading to a place 3 hours upriver. So we're here. This is gonna be our house for a few days. Reginaldo and Paulo come out here to the jungle for a week at a time, once a month more or less, and this is where they stay. They have this sort of hut where they have their hammocks. This is where I'm staying right now, and they bathe out in the river, and they do their business in the jungle. We're going out to do some, to look for some nocturnal animals. Então, lesson, we have some tips here.
A parte de segurança é muito importante. Não pise em nenhum lugar que você não tenha visto. Não encoste em nada que você não tenha olhado. Tem muitas coisas aqui que são perigosas. Escorpiões, aranhas, cobras. Então a gente tem que ter muito cuidado, não pode ter preguiça. Tem que ter muita atenção no que está acontecendo.
How does that make you feel?
Can I stay? Of course, our introduction to research in the Amazon had to begin at night. All you could see was what was in the beam of your flashlight. For me, that was mostly just leaves and things, but these guys could spot anything, and we got to see some really amazing creatures. Look at this. But we were keeping our eyes out for the Cambo frog, which falls right into Paulo and Reginaldo's area of expertise. As herpetologists, they focused their research on amphibians and reptiles. Of particular interest to scientists are poisonous snakes and frogs, because their venom contains chemical compounds known as peptides, which have pharmacological effects, most of which have yet to be studied. There's a giant tree frog.
Ela está inflando como defesa e está soltando uma substância venenosa, ó. E essa substância ainda não foi estudada, a composição bioquímica, né? Então podemos ter aqui também fármacos a serem descobertos. Olha, olha para a câmera.
This might be the best shot I've ever taken in my life.
Olha, ela anda igual uma Homem-Aranha. Fica aí, fica. Aê, que Spider-Man!
Because of its venomous substance, he's washing his hands. They say that if you put it in your eyes or your mouth, it can be dangerous. Unlike the tree frog, the Cambo's venom has been studied and found to be rich in peptides that could hold great potential for modern medicine. But after 3 hours of searching, we still hadn't come across the frog. However, there were plenty of other things to be alert for.
Então, durante esse trecho aqui, tome mais cuidado e atenção.
So he's saying that we're passing through a place here that there's some water, and there's double the chance that we'll find one of the most poisonous snakes here, which is the fer de lance, which they call the jararaca here.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck.
That's why I'm sending Darren in front.
E ninguém se mova muito, tá? Vocês escutaram um barulho?
O que é?
Ops, tá aqui na frente agora.
Tá na frente.
Que isso? Então,
É o que, Paulo?
o Zé Gordo falou que era Bushmaster, lá que é as multas, Big Jack, que fazia isso, tá? Oh, vem cá, Darren, vem filmando. Pode vir tranquilo, o Nardo da proteção. Darren, vem filmando. The Snake.
These guys are out of their minds.
Dude, my heart is beating really fast. But it's no small.
So it wasn't the feared Bushmaster after all, but its slightly less threatening cousin.
This is a vine snake, and he's not venomous, which is why I get to hold him. Very dangerous anyway. If you're walking and it gets wrapped around your leg, it's much like a shoelace, and it can trip you.
It's very early in the morning, and we're going to check the traps that they've put around the camp and see if there's any animals that have fallen there. Shall we go? Vamos?
Ele é engraçado.
Much of the sampling that Paulo and Reginaldo do here is collected in traps they have set up around the camp. Specimens are identified and recorded, and sometimes bagged for further study. In the last 8 months, they've collected 128 different species of amphibians and reptiles here.
Aqui em 1 quilômetro também tem mais riqueza que toda a Europa.
And the number of species is still growing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Aqueles filmes da Playboy. Beautiful, beautiful. Modelo assim, o cara tchá. 130 espécies agora.
And they say that whenever they find a new species, he bows down and thanks God.
Vão pensar do Brasil.
What are they going to think about Brazilian scientists, you say? For all we know about the Amazon, it's what we don't know that scientists like Paulo and Reginaldo feel is the greatest reason for preserving it.
Nós não conhecemos nada. Muito poucos organismos são estudados assim no Brasil. Eu digo que menos que 5%.
So you're saying that it's very, very usual here in the Amazon to find species that haven't yet been identified, especially in this region here where they're doing research because it's still very unexplored. New species bring new potential. The rainforest is perhaps nature's greatest laboratory. Over the course of millions of years, venoms and toxins have been constantly tested and refined in a struggle for survival. Sistemas de predadores e de defesa lembram bocado uma guerra química, não é?
Isso, uma coevolução, uma corrida armamentista. A presa desenvolve um mecanismo, uma estratégia de defesa. E o predador tem que contornar esse obstáculo de alguma maneira. Se o bicho é venenoso, o predador tem que fisiologicamente produzir alguma maneira de degradar esse veneno. A ciência pode aproveitar isso para a medicina.
With 20% of the world's biodiversity, the Amazon is perhaps the most important natural source for discovering new medicines. This potential for pharmaceuticals could also provide an economic incentive for conservation, which many see as the key to guaranteeing the survival of the world's largest rainforest. The question really is, where do you begin? And this is where we would cue the cambo if it hadn't managed to elude us after 3 days in the jungle. But Paulo told me he knew of a place where we were almost certain to find one. Oh, look at that. Traditionally, Brazil has been slow to realize the potential that lies in the rainforest. But recently, the government has sought to boost the country's expertise in genetics and biotechnology, particularly in the area of pharmaceuticals. And the University of the Forest, where Paulo is a professor, is part of that effort. This is what happens at universities in the middle of the jungle. You find insects like this. É o quê?
É coleóptero cerambicide, né? Alecrim da mata ou serra-pau. É da Amazônia.
Não pica, não pica.
Ele vai dar uma mordida, calma.
Aside from the fact that rainforest critters practically walk into the labs, Leonardo Calderon, a director of the science department, explained why the university is unique.
A Universidade da Floresta é um projeto de implantar em uma região isolada da Amazônia, de altíssima biodiversidade, pesquisa e desenvolvimento e unir a ciência com o conhecimento tradicional.
To help with research and development, the university hopes to enlist some of the world's original pharmacists. Brazil is home to 400 indigenous groups, most of whom have long shamanistic traditions. Through thousands of years of trial and error, they have identified plants and animals with pharmacological effects. The goal for the university and Brazil's budding biotech industry is to isolate the active compounds, like those found in traditional cures, and someday refine them for pharmaceuticals. And the most promising guinea pig for this initiative is actually a frog, the Cambo frog. We're going to an indigenous reserve of the Catuquina people to poison ourselves with some frog slime. This is one of the villages of the Catuquina indigenous people. Parece estar bem vazio, hein? The reserve is more than 30,000 hectares. And most of it, sorry, I have a bug. And most of it is jungle, pristine jungle. The Catuquinas are one of several tribes who are well known for their use of the poisonous slime of the cambo. They refer to it in Portuguese as the vacina do sapo, or the frog vaccine. It's traditionally applied by shamans as a cure-all. Nelson is the shaman in this village here.
Nossa cambo é remédio para nós, como vitamina, né? A vitamina boa a gente toma, vai ficar forte e ficar limpa, né?
É isso aí. So he's saying that cambo is used for three main reasons. So that you get good luck in your life, so that you hunt better, and it's good for your health. That's the third reason. So we're taking the cambo vaccine now. We're deciding how many doses of cambo we're taking, and they're saying that women usually take 3, and I said I only wanted 2, and Darren is taking 5, as any big strong man around here.
How bad could it be? Pra mim, eu tomo 21 pontos. Se falar strongman pra mim, eu fiz pra ele, eu tomo 21 pontos.
The slime is scraped off the frog and it's put onto this stick here, where it crystallizes. And then it's applied onto the skin. He's preparing it right now.
Nesse caminho do porto aí.
I was asking where the bathroom was because we heard that one of the effects of taking the cambo is you throw up, but sometimes it backfires and it goes downstream. So I was just figuring out an evacuation route here. When taken in the crude form, the slime reportedly induces violent gastrointestinal and cardiological effects. As it was described to us, 5 minutes after taking it, you feel like you're going to die. 10 minutes after, you're absolutely certain you're going to die.
Não, é isso mesmo. Tomar só 3.
The other shaman, who just took cambo himself and is puking himself out. Oh my God, look at the guy's not doing that at all.
So you could actually wind up like this guy.
Which one? Look.
So you're gonna feel like crap, but don't worry about it.
Okay. So women take it on the leg. This is sort of a crude injection where they burn the skin, they scratch it off, and that's where he's going to apply this sort of powder, the secretion of the frog. Ooh, I can feel it.
Stings a little bit.
It stings a little bit, right? Ooh, I feel it already immediately.
Yeah.
I'm glad I only took 2 doses. Paulo wanted me to take 3. Oh, meu Deus. Okay. So, right now it's just, I feel that there's a sting coming all the way from my leg, and it's starting on my cheeks. Wow, it's amazing. Okay, now I start my heart starts pumping fast. I can feel it like pumping out of my neck and my ears. It's like my ears are about to explode. Oh yeah. Whew. You see my face? You see? My eyes are probably getting red now. Ooh, it's like fire. Yeah, I can feel my heart beating in my head. Literally, it's like my heart is in my head. The effects of the kambo are due to a high concentration of potently active compounds that are absorbed through the burn. See the skin around it is all red? Studies have found that some peptides discovered in the frog secretion affect the gastrointestinal system, which could account for my friend puking. Another peptide was shown to be a highly effective blood vessel dilator and was probably responsible for that heart in the head feeling.
Muito forte kambo.
The challenge for science is to isolate these peptides and then reproduce or manipulate them for medicines. Early research suggests the kambo slime could someday hold promise for treating Alzheimer's, depression, hypertension, and even certain cancers.
Você está sentindo melhor?
Melhor já.
After the initial drama of taking the kambo, people say they feel an increased amount of energy and a heightening of senses. But I just felt sick. Freaking headache right now. He asked me how I felt. He says I'm really, really strong. But I felt like a real lightweight after talking to this young shaman.
Tomei ontem.
He has the scars from the kambo all over his body.
Tudo isso é só kambo. Eu gosto de tomar.
He likes to take it. He says in one day he took 120 doses. Você tomou 120 num dia, não foi? I took 3 and I felt like shit.
Ask me if the girls did the scars.
E você com isso tudo aí?
Gosto. Gosto de ver.
Now that I too had my scars, I thought it was time to finally see this kambo. And maybe it was the delayed reaction to the poison, but feeling suddenly energized, I found a way to kill some time until sunset. And we're gonna see if we can find a kambo. They say that that's when they come out, is at night.
Kambo, kambo, ho, kambo, kambo, ho, kambo, kambo, ho, kambo, kambo.
That is amazing. Look at it. It's a kambo.
É kambo.
Look at it. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Lindo, hein, Paulo? So he's explaining how they take the slime, they call the milk here. Ah, you see the white stuff coming out? This is the poison that they make the kambo, the vaccine out of.
Captain Jack Sparrow. Isso não é papagaio. Mas ele não sabe disso. Isso é uma foto.
Ele não salta nada?
Não, fica tranquilo.
It could be a new fashion accessory. Beautiful color.
Tá do teu lado aqui, fica tranquila. Aí fica seguro.
Paulo likes to put poisonous frogs on my shoulder. Tá fazendo xixi. I think she's peeing.
Não tá.
Ai.
Tranquilo que os peptídeos desse não foi estudado ainda.
Obrigada, Paulo. Saying the peptides of this one haven't been researched, so don't worry. Much makes me feel much better. The scientific name for the kambo is Philomedusa bicolor. In English, it's known as the giant waxy monkey tree frog. It remains to be seen if the kambo will ever yield a marketable pharmaceutical. Research and development is costly, and many starts prove false. But the kambo is just one charismatic example of the potential that lies in the rainforest. And it could serve as a launching point for providing an economic incentive for preserving the Amazon.
A floresta é uma farmácia que ninguém está utilizando direito. Está aqui para ser estudado e descoberto vários medicamentos. Porque não é só o kambo tem potencial, tem outros anfíbios. Esses que estão cantando aqui à nossa volta são dendrobatídeos. Então também está aí, ó, estão cantando, pedindo para serem estudados. Falta pesquisa.
See more Vanguard Wednesdays at 10 p.m. on Current or online at current.com/Vanguard.